Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Randi Thompson, sitting in for Sam Shad. Today we'll be talking to Assemblyman P.K. O'Neill from District 40 in Carson City, coming up on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Politicians, they hide behind commercials and social media, trying to act tough. A bunch of keyboard cowboys. They talk tough about immigration, but none of them have locked up or deported a single violent criminal. Not one. I've deported thousands. They closed schools, tied the hands of police, and wrecked our economy. I'm Joe Lombardo. I'm running for governor because we can do better. Nevada deserves better. Let's take our state back.
Joe Lombardo for governor.
Liberals Steve Sisolak and Aaron Ford. Socialism out of control. Releasing violent criminals, special interests over our children, and crippling shutdowns on small businesses. It's time for a conservative approach. Republican Tisha Black. A mom who will put our kids first. A self-made businesswoman who will stop government overreach. And Tisha backs the blue. She'll get tough on crime. Tisha Black, the conservative choice for Attorney General.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you. But we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. I'm happy to have, apparently for the first time, P.K. O'Neill, the Assemblyman from Carson City, District 40. Good morning.
Good morning, Randy. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Real good, thank you.
I can't believe you haven't been on Newsmakers yet. You've been in the Assembly, I don't know, off and on for what?
2 terms.
2 terms, yeah.
2 terms. I'm
well,
sort of the quiet one.
You
believe
are.
it or not.
Well, I'm honored to have you here. Thank you so much.
Oh,
so we're going to talk a little bit about your race and all that's happening in Carson. But first, so we're taping this on Wednesday, May 15th. So this article's come out in 18th, right? May 18th. Is that which day is?
Am I in trouble for correcting you?
Yeah, no, that's fine. May 18th. So this article came out in the Nevada Independent, written by ProPublica reporter Ann Jeanette Damon, exposing some startling information about a testing company called North Star Clinical Labs, who was contracted to do testing, about the obviously COVID testing, in Washoe County and for UNR and for the general public. The company had a 96% failure rate. And the problems had affected 1.7 million tests, according to one report. North Shore used political connections, including contracting with the sons of a close friend of the governor, to fast-track laboratory license applications. And its license was expedited after a nudge from the governor's office, even though people were already saying its test didn't work. And once it was discovered, the company was continued to allow it to operate. And as John Ralston pointed out in this morning's newsletter, basic math tells us people died because of a politically connected testing company was not properly vetted. People died. People tested negative when they were actually positive. And this group got a $165 million contract. It was the 11th most of the thousands of, there's like 28,000 companies. They were the 11th highest in government bids. So you've read it. It's worth noting that the sons, they were the executives of this company, the executives of this company are sons of a man named Peter Palavas, who has given over $100,000 to Nevada politicians, including $33,000 to Governor Sisolak and $10,000 to Attorney General Ford. So my first question is there an investigative body within the state that can look into this that is separate from the governor?
The answer to that is there is, but there won't be, is my best guess.
Okay.
The Attorney General could look at it for malfeasance. He has authority over government state employees for malfeasance, misfeasance of their operation. I don't mean to sound so political about it, but to me this is a horrible incident, absolutely detestable, and should be. If I was governor, I would order an investigation. I would order a third party, neutral, to do the investigation.
Well, who could that be then?
That I'm not sure about right off the bat.
Okay.
But there's also the State Division of Investigation, which is under the Department of Public Safety, the state police. They could be requested to come in, but they have very limited jurisdiction in that regards. So from a state, I say yes, there is, but no, there really isn't. I can't see the Attorney General, who is a Democrat, going to investigate his own governor, who's another Democrat. And to me, this whole thing stems from the lack of oversight that the legislature was allowed when the governor shut business down, declared his emergency. We in the legislature had several bills to request that the legislature has to, after a certain period of time, review and authorize, concur with the governor's executive powers. And theirs would be the oversight. When he would come in, with his whole policies and the programs would have been looked at, and this should have been caught. This is absolutely, to me, atrocious, both on a state level when you look at the individual lives, and it's difficult to believe that someone can get up there and say how concerned they are about his or her electorates, the people of Nevada, and then allow this to happen. Now, I'm not going to infer that the governor had personal knowledge of it, but I'm also going to say this: the buck stops with the boss, and the governor is the boss, and he has to take responsibility for that. And to me, several other examples that have come forward during the emergency shutdowns on the economy, and his own directors and business, his agencies, and how they've conducted business. I am sick and tired of hearing continually, when I've asked for questions from Department of Transportation and others, you have to understand COVID, it'll take months to get that because we're on COVID. It does not take months to pull out simple reports. So getting back to this original, this to me should be an automatic criminal investigation proceeding, and look at everybody involved. And it really is an example of just politics and government at its worst.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break because this has been a long but short segment, and come back and talk about what are the legislative fixes that we might look at proposing in the next session. We'll be back right after this.
Liberals Steve Sisolak and Aaron Ford. Socialism out of control. Releasing violent criminals, special interests over our children, and crippling shutdowns on small businesses. It's time for a conservative approach. Republican Tisha Black. A mom who will put our kids first. A self-made businesswoman who will stop government overreach. And Tisha backs the blue. She'll get tough on crime. Tisha Black, the conservative choice for Attorney General.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. One of the things I love about the Carson Valley Inn here in beautiful downtown Minden is CV steak. I have eaten here so many times. Tell folks what they can expect when they come here to eat.
It's a beautiful room, great service. We have certified Angus beef, seafood, lamb, a great range of appetizers, and wonderful desserts. Jean-Michel's done a great job of selecting some beautiful wines for us. The customers love it, and we've got a great selection of cocktails as well. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And we're back in Nevada Newsmakers with P.K. O'Neill, the Assemblyman from District 40. So we're talking about the ProPublica article about North Shore clinical labs. So you were saying there's no Inspector General for the state of Nevada, and I don't know if most states have it, if there's any sort of, so do you see maybe legislation this coming session? Not only, I mean, obviously this is a huge issue, and I had dinner last night with a friend of mine that works for Washoe County Health Department in the vaccine area, and she said from day one they questioned this. They went to the county manager and said, we don't want this company. So if you read that article, and if you haven't read it, go to Nevada Independent and read this article. It shows time and again there were many people complaining to the state, to the county manager, to the governor's office that this company is not working. So what do you see legislatively that might help curtail and essentially look into this, investigate this?
Well, I think we need an Inspector General's office that's free of politics. Chris Edwards, I forget which district from the South that he covered, even back as far as the 15th session, has proposed, and while his several terms, kept proposing an Inspector General's office. And it never could even get a hearing. No. For unknown reasons, variety of reasons probably.
Does the legislature think that they should be the Inspector General to some extent, that they should be auditing the governor? Do they have that power, first of all, but do they have that inclination?
There's one of the responsibilities to me of the legislature is the checks and balance. We have the three branches of government, and we are supposed to checks and balance. But when you're only in session every other year, thank God, and it's only for 120 days with all that is going on, particularly when the budgets are proposed, we really don't have that ability. Now you have the legislative operations, which in the interim finance committee, but they have very little and limited responsibilities and reviews. The legislature, LCB staff, the audit staff, will do audits of various agencies and divisions within those agencies and report back, but I have never seen a report come out as serious as this from them. Yeah. And they've come out with some very serious allegations at times against agencies, but none of them to me have risen to this level. Yeah. And somebody really has, as you said, people, the working bees kept saying and raising the flags. And I am curious, why didn't these administrators ever acknowledge it? And I get back to where I say the buck stops there. They have that ultimate responsibility.
Yep, because it was a statewide license. It was federally funded, so it doesn't sound like there's any Nevada monies that were involved in this, so I'm sure the feds might be looking to this as well.
And that may be the only recourse we have. And I don't care if it's federal money or if it's state money in this regard. It is people's lives that were endangered and were influenced by the actions of North Shore Laboratories and their failure to fulfill their obligations. And somebody within government or some bodies within government not doing what they're supposed to be, what their responsibilities are. And that to me has to be addressed and has to be addressed immediately and strong.
Do you think the Republicans in this legislature will call for an investigation? Do you see your caucuses getting together and doing something like that?
I would hope so.
Okay.
Now, whether that can happen or not, or we're listened to, a lot of it depends on the numbers. Yeah. I have learned, unfortunately, it's all a numbers game. And I hate to even say it's a game, because it's really not. When you're talking about people's lives, there are no games. Yeah. It's a serious fact. So I feel, and I can't speak for all in my caucus, but I do feel fairly confident that we are all as upset, and even maybe more so than I am, and I am upset about it.
Yeah. Well, let's hope the legislature, even the Democrats, realize that this needs to be looked into.
Yes.
And more is going to be
hopefully.
coming out in the next few days, I'm sure, in the next few weeks.
And that's what I'm hoping too, because I saw it in the Independent on Monday, and I haven't seen it in the papers or on any of the news channels. I will admit I don't watch every news channel all the time, but I haven't seen anything coming out about this. And this to me is such a serious incident that it should be out there immediately, and people should be aware of it. If I was running a candidate for a governor, a Republican governor, this would be one of the things. I'd stop attacking my fellow Republicans and start attacking, to me, the governor himself right now.
No, very true. So you served on the board of the Carson Tahoe Health System. Are you still doing that?
Yes,
on that board?
I'm on the board of directors and 6 subsequent or lower end subcommittees for the hospital.
Well, I know this is going to be a long segment because we're going to talk about how COVID impacted that health system and what we did right and what we did wrong, but we're going to talk about that right when we get back, right after this.
Politicians, they hide behind commercials and social media, trying to act tough. A bunch of keyboard cowboys. They talk tough about immigration, but none of them have locked up or deported a single violent criminal. Not one. I've deported thousands. They closed schools, tied the hands of police, and wrecked our economy. I'm Joe Lombardo. I'm running for governor because we can do better. Nevada deserves better. Let's take our state back.
Joe Lombardo for governor.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your air conditioner breaks down today. We fix it today. Why sweat for days while your air is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get cool again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 or see us online at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers with Assemblyman P.K. O'Neill, District 40 from Carson City. So we talked a little bit that you're on the board of the Carson Tahoe Health System. So you're really on the front line of a public health crisis and watching how it impacted your community and the hospital system. What do you think we did right?
What we did right is a tough answer.
It's probably easier to say what we did wrong and then
what we did
play
wrong,
Monday morning quarterback.
and a lot of it, the hospital, I mean, I'm just with Carson Tahoe Hospital and the board of directors does the oversight of the operations and reports. So I'm not in the day-to-day activities. But what we did, we followed the guidelines that were administered. And what was wrong about it is there was constantly conflicting information. We caught from the federal government, particularly because we're under Medicare, Medicaid, CMS, so we have to listen to the feds and their responsibilities. You also have the state dictating how operations can be conducted. We geared up immediately. I will compliment staff, the administration. They immediately, when the word went out, they started to gear up and prepare for it. Now, Carson City as a whole was fairly lucky. For months, we were one of the lower impact areas, and the hospital really did not have some of the demands on it that you saw up here in Reno or particularly down south. But we were available and we were responsible. And we took hits in our financials for it. We shut down surgical, all the surgeries except for emergency surgeries. The emergency room became very segregated in the sense of people coming in with heart issues or broken legs would go one, and trying to keep sterile areas for those that were coming in and felt that they had COVID or tested positive for COVID until we could truly identify them. And then finding the beds for them as the illness grew. So I compliment Carson Tahoe personally for the responses that they gave. We did the very best we could. Probably the biggest challenge we had, and it's a very difficult challenge, was trying to keep the environment sterile. When I say the environment, the building sterile, because you had staff coming and going. You had the patients of mixed patients, some with non-COVID related illnesses in there, and family members who were could not get in to visit their families or visit their family member, the patient, and how to handle that. And it really was a very difficult, and it actually challenged staff. It was difficult on the patients and their family, but it was also very difficult on the staff because they really care for their patient. They want to see them with family. And patients will respond to treatment better when family is around with them, helping them and reminding them, well, you got to get up and walk, you've got to get up, you've got to take your treatment, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, instead of nasty nurse coming in and saying, it's time, it's time. And that was the hardest thing that we had to deal with. And we felt terrible about restricting that. And as I said, when people would talk to me about it, you've got to talk more to the doctor and look at how the building is set up, and maybe we could come up with some sterile arrangements so you could get in there to see family members, even on a very limited basis. Luckily, technology, the one right thing that may have come out of all this is Zoom and all those meeting chat centers, whatever you may call them, really came in and did assist, but there's still nothing like the human touch. 100 years ago, I was a medic, seriously, and I always remember this one very elderly woman who was in serious condition saying, just touch me. That's all I want on the ambulance as we were taking her to the hospital. She says, would you just put your hand and hold my hand? And I still remember that. And here I am, a 20-year-old kid still, rough, tough, and ready to go, so to say. But that always has stayed with me and taught me that we must respect, and that person-to-person relationship is so important, even when you don't know the person. It's still there. We're a pack animal. So
we are a social network. We really are. So looking at this legislative session, because I think you're going to win your race.
Don't, please, please.
Okay, I'm hoping you'll win. I'll put it that way. Be good to have you back in the legislature.
I appreciate that.
You've done a lot of good stuff. You've passed some. I think the bill you put on. You had one last session. On, well, IT technology, because that's kind of your bailiwick, I know, but enhanced crimes against the elderly. So you've had some interesting legislation. And in looking, what do you want to accomplish in 2023?
The first, I've got several bills already prepped up, but probably one of the first is I'm going to bring back a bill that I tried to introduce last session and never could get a hearing, and it's on the Nurses Compact. And it's bringing in, there are 38 states and 2 territories that are members of the Nurses Compact, and allows the movement of a nurse from one state or area to another without having to go get their individual nurses. It makes it faster for them. It makes it less expensive. There's less regulatory requirements on them. And getting back to COVID, in the hospital, we were paying astronomical fees for the traveling nurses to come in from other states, because they did have to get their license, come in and practice here to assist us. We have not just here in Nevada, not just in Carson Tahoe, but across the country, a terrible nurses shortage. Nevada has one of the worst nurses to patient ratio. I think we're 49-48.
Wow, okay.
And so I want to do that, along with looking at other medical provider services that we can reduce regulations on. And then expand maybe scope of practice with some of the nurses, as we have with the APRNs, and letting them go out to the rurals. But physician's assistants. We have to get more medical practice out to the rural.
Okay.
So I'll be bringing back the Nurses Compact, hopefully with stronger support. It didn't even get a hearing from the Democrats last time, which was very disappointing when we're in the middle of this pandemic.
Yeah.
And it would have lowered fees, it would have improved medical care, but they wouldn't even give it a hearing, period, which is very upsetting to me.
Well, we're going to have you back to talk more about this because it's a growing subject, and we wish you best of luck in your election.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I look forward to it.
You bet. We'll be back right after this.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Modern Boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. You can also check our archive going back to 2005 on our website, again, nevadanewsmakers.com.